2021. I always wait to forget to let you record it, Justin, for my intro, huh? Welcome everyone to the City Council meeting of Monday, June 28th, 2021. If I could have everybody rise and ask Alex to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I would appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alex. You've done a nice job taking over there for Ms. Knight on that. We have two sets of roll call, please. Ms. Jones, if you'd please call the roll.
Yes, I can do that. Councilmember Cousins,
Here, virtually from the city of Dexter.
Councilmember Fisher,
Yes, I'm here participating virtually from Alma, Michigan.
Councilmember Griffin,
Present remotely from the city of Dexter.
Councilmember Hubbard,
Here participating remotely from the city of Dexter.
Councilmember Michelle,
Present, Dexter City, USA.
Mayor Keough,
Present and participating remotely from my home in the city of Dexter, Michigan.
Student Rep Gilbert,
Present remotely from Webster Township.
and Student Rep Malik.
Present from Dexter, city of Dexter.
All right,
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Okay, we have a quorum and a full body, so thank you. Item C tonight is approval of the meeting minutes from our special city council meeting of June 9th and our regular city council meeting on June 14th. Is there someone that would like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes. I have one amendment.
Moved by Jamie?
Yeah.
Well, wait, why don't you state one amendment or one change? One small change?
Yeah, one change. Do you want me to go? I can.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We'll get to this. Okay, so.
Yeah.
Motion by Griffin. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Fisher. Thank you, Donna.
Mhm.
Okay, Ms. Griffin?
Yep, on page 7. I
Okay,
don't know which meeting this is, but on page 7, under the communications, under the third little paragraph where it mentions myself, Councilmember Griffin reported that there will be an in-person meeting on July 17th, 2021 at 6 p.m. for the Dexter Crossing Road project. I don't believe I mentioned that update, although I did mention the zoning ordinance subcommittee. So I'm not sure who that should be attributed to.
okay. I know that Justin sure mentioned it, but we can take that part of it
I
out.
know that I brought that up, so that, I guess that should be broken out into two, with me mentioning the one and you mentioning the other.
Yep, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Fisher, any comments or corrections on the minutes?
Not for me.
Other council members?
It's okay.
Paul, anything? Zach, anything?
Oh, all set.
Okay. Ms. Jones, please call the roll to approve the meeting minutes with that one correction, please.
Yes. Cousins,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes,
Keough.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. We are down to prearranged participation where we had Julie Wilkinson had contacted us, but I don't see her on the phone. Justin, do you know if she's going to attend or not?
She's not on. She said that we can move on from that item.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you. Say none there. Okay, so item E is approval of the agenda. Please note that the more recently posted agenda includes another new business item that Justin added or asked us to add today. So whoever makes the motion to approve the agenda, if you could do so, please, by adding item L6, which is the consideration of the proposal from ASTI Environmental for the phase 2 and an extension of purchase agreement due diligence period. If somebody could make note of that. And Wah notified me that she'd like to make just a couple of comments under council member reports, which is I-7. So if we could add those two things to the agenda, I would sure appreciate it.
Injury they could fall into because of rebar standing up like spikes. So in a normal.
Can I get somebody to move the agenda, please?
I'll move the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Griffin. Thanks, Jamie. Any conflicts tonight?
Yeah.
I didn't look close enough at the bills to see, remember if that's on there or not. Zach, I see your hands up.
Yep, my employer is in the top couple of lines of
Okay.
folks who receive money, so I'm going to abstain from the whole of the consent agenda.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you for disclosing that. Any other discussion on the agenda? Seeing none. Ms. Jones, if you could please call the vote to approve the agenda.
Okay. Hubbard,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes,
Griffin,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Motion carries. We have an agenda as amended. We have no public hearings under section F of our agenda. So we're down to non-arranged participation under section G. This is the first opportunity for members of the public to speak this evening if they should want to do so. If anyone wants to speak, please raise your hand or use the raise hand feature. Or if you're dialing in, *9 on your cell phone will also alert us that you would like to speak. Is there anyone that would like to speak this evening?
There's also some experts on the scene investigating exactly.
Justin, I'm not seeing anybody. Would you confirm that you don't see anybody?
I'm also not seeing anyone.
Okay. All right, I will move on to item H, which is communications. We have the one communication in the packet, our upcoming meeting list. Does anybody have any comments on the meeting list? Ms. Griffin?
Yep, I think it's missing our special meeting on Wednesday, or our work session, our newly added work session on Wednesday, the 30th.
Right.
That's all I noticed.
Nope, good catch. Confirmed that one up after the packet went out, so that makes sense. That's July 9th at 6 o'clock. Anybody else have any?
June
Go
30th?
ahead. Oh, did I say July 9th? Sorry, June
Yeah.
30th. Yeah, sorry, sorry. I don't know where that came from. June 30th at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Stand corrected. I was just seeing who's paying attention.
Right.
Not me, obviously. Okay, seeing no other comments on communications, we'll move into reports. Our first report tonight is from our Public Services Superintendent. Welcome, Dan.
Good evening, City Council and everyone else. I provided you with a two-week written report. I'd like to start with a couple updates. First, on June 17th at 5:30, we had a Dexter Crossing project meeting. Well attended. There was 27 people there. That's a record for us. Patrick from OHM was there. Marcus was there from OHM. Chris Donikowski was there from OHM, along with Justin, myself, and Eric and Tim. It was good interaction. Initially, Patrick went over for the first 20 minutes or 10 minutes or so, talking about all the road projects and the different things we've done in town. Then Marcus took over and talked about the Dexter Crossings project itself. There was a lot of great questions throughout all of that, and it actually spilled into a couple driveways afterwards. I personally thanked everybody from Dexter Crossings for participating in that meeting. It makes a lot of sense, and it makes our jobs a lot easier to have all those contacts as we go through this project. Any questions on that?
When do we think that's going to start, Dan?
I don't know. Have you got an update, Justin? I haven't heard.
I don't need an exact date. I just wondered what month.
Yeah. So bids are actually due on July 1st, and we're expecting construction to start in mid-August.
Great, thank you.
My second update has to do with the weather that we had Friday and Saturday and Sunday. I'm sure as all of you watched the TV, a lot of communities in Michigan had a lot of problems with the amount of water they got. We got very lucky. We only ended up with 2.6 inches of rain in a couple days. We were able to handle that fairly easy with that EQ basin. We had to divert for maybe 2 hours throughout the whole storm. There was a lot of other communities that didn't fare as well. When you get 6, 7, 8 inches of rain, it's really hard to manage a storm and wastewater systems, but we got lucky on that. Any questions on that?
Dan, did you happen to notice the tree down along the bank of Mill Creek in Warrior Park?
I did not notice it, but Mr. Miller made me aware of it, and I told him that we've got 2 different contractors right now waiting. Hopefully they're going to get in here soon to do some work throughout the stream behind the cemetery of Broad and Grand all the way down to where it goes underneath the viaduct.
Dan, the good news is the big log that I had said was wedged on one of the rock vein weirs upstream floated downstream somewhere. It's gone.
It made it under the viaduct?
Yeah, made it down the rapids and out.
Well, it probably didn't make it past our outfall. I noticed today when I went out by the wastewater outfall, we have a big tree down. So it's probably it's gonna get caught up there eventually. Do you have any questions on my written report?
Have we been pushing our maximum water use with, or I mean, before we got all the rain, any troublesome days, or I know
We
it's
had
rough
to go. We had to go out one day, and we handed out, I think 7 or 8 door hangers, and as you can see from our report, we're down well under 700. So
okay,
this rain's really helping out a lot, but yeah, we seem to be doing fine as far as our water usage.
okay. Any other questions for Dan? Dan, thanks for joining us tonight and your good report, and thanks to the team. Next up is our Community Development Manager, Michelle. How are you?
I'm fine. How's everyone doing there?
Good.
Pretty good.
Excellent. The rest of council, are you doing well?
I'm in our cool basement. You look like you're out on a warm porch.
I am on my porch. The fan is above. I'm enjoying this. So thank you for asking. So before I go into the few verbal updates that I have and some highlights of my report, does anyone have any questions? Okay, doesn't look like it. So I'm going to just plow right in. I hope you all have seen the planters and the banners out on the barricades. Thanks to the rain, the planters are doing really nicely, and the banners on the barricades are really they look so good. Dexter Print and Embroidery did an excellent job. There's still some money in the budget, so I'm gonna see if the DDA would be willing to allow a few more banners, but we've got to figure out what those would communicate. I'll make the plug again about the zoning ordinance update. Please stay up to date on it. If you have any questions, let me or Mike know so that we can keep you in the loop on all of it. If you need links to any of the meetings, again, let us know so that we can get you those links to the subcommittee meetings so you're on top of all of this. Excuse me. For a verbal update, the resident cost sharing fall tree planting application has been released. So we're starting to accept those applications. There's an extremely limited supply of trees this year. So the application period will be open through August. If we get more applications than we have trees, those people will get put on the list for spring. So it's something we can handle, and people will get trees. They just might not get them in the fall. excuse me. But I did notice today, just before this, the application, I need to amend it and put the deadline for application acceptance, because right now it just says TBD, and that's not going to help people very much, is it? So that's all I've got right now. If you've got any questions for me, please let me know.
Michelle, I just have one, and I don't know that I need an answer today on it, but I was wondering, as I stared at the little graphic that's on the top of page 19 of our packet, where it shows how the lot can be divided perpendicular to the road, but not so that the alley has frontage.
Yep.
Does that come from a rule somewhere?
So
I mean, why, I guess my comment is, do the plats treat alleys different than roads?
Our definition of roads and alleys is what treats it differently. And because an alley is not considered a road, we can't allow the building of a home with frontage on an alley. And if you can't allow something to be built with frontage on the alley, you can't allow it to be divided because you create a non-buildable parcel. So the ordinance doesn't allow that. The act is very general, the Land Division Act. And so currently any divisions would be vertical.
So I understand what you're proposing. So
as the example shows, unless you had a parcel.
So that's a Dexter thing? Because I mean, we do have some that fit the second condition, right?
Correct. Those were, so all of the land divisions that created those parcels, that the few that front onto alleys, whether they've got a dwelling or not, were done prior to the most recent Land Division Act. And that the last time that was amended was when Governor Engler was in office, so back in the 90s. So the land divisions that created those parcels that you just talked about happened before the Land Division Act was changed. And
so it's definitions in the Land Division Act, not in our ordinance?
It's a combination.
Okay. All right. I guess I want to understand that. Okay. That's
a combination of what the Land Division Act allowed previous.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I can follow up more with you. That helps. That helps me.
Okay,
I'll go look at
that's
the Land
fine.
Division Act.
That's all I've got.
Okay. Any other questions for Michelle? I don't see Zach. Paul, you're not waving a pencil. Everybody's good?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. I forgot. I don't think I put it on here. Millennium Place has submitted for their final site plan review. So they will be on the Planning Commission's August agenda. That's the property on Grand Street across from Grandview Commons. Marhoff Campbell.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Okay. I think that brings us down to city manager report. Justin, are you ready, sir?
I am, thank you. So just a couple of things. First is I just got the WAVE contract. So you will see that as an item on your next meeting agenda. There was some back and forth with Julia at WAVE. She's still getting accustomed to her position, and so had to share with her a copy of our existing contract for them to update it. Today was the first day where the recycle door-to-door program was resulting in tags that would result in folks not getting picked up. So we have 2 more weeks of that. My goal was to have a newsletter sent out by today. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So my next goal is to have that hit doors before next Monday. To make sure that folks are aware that you get 2 tags with the second tag resulting in a non-pickup. Included in your packet, we have Parks and Rec recommended a survey regarding the possible locations and desire for the installation of ping pong tables in the city's parks. I did get some comments back already from Councilmember Griffin, and they were fairly straightforward edits just to some of the language and how the survey reads. But I wanted to see if how council felt about the survey and if council was comfortable with that being shared with the public.
I'm okay with it.
I am too.
I mean, I haven't seen the edits that Jamie made, but I'm assuming they're good and I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Paul, you said you're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right. So that'll go out here shortly. And then at their last meeting, I didn't bring it up at the last council meeting, but I know that it was mentioned in your report, Sean, about wanting a discussion of potentially returning to in-person meetings. And at their last meeting, the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee made a unanimous recommendation to return to in-person meetings starting in September. They're not planning on having an August meeting, so what their desire was to have a July virtual meeting, not meet in August, and then return to in-person in September. So I just wanted to bring that up either before or during that discussion.
No, it's fine. We can we can do it right now if that's okay with council. How's everybody feeling about getting back together and seeing people in person?
Good.
I'm in favor.
Do we want to go with the September date as well? And kind of, we'll go through the summer this way, or what gives everybody a little bit of flexibility in case they're out of town?
September's fine.
That makes sense?
There might be something to be said for all of us doing it at the same time, all of our committees and commissions, for that might help people. I don't know if
Yeah,
that there's
good point.
advantage to doing that or not. You can decide.
Does anybody object to September as the date? That'll be the month for everybody?
We're out of town mid-July for a little bit, and I mean, I'd be happy to do it ASAP, but given that we made plans, I suspect other people may have made plans expecting that it wouldn't be so sudden, so I'd be fine waiting till September.
Okay. Why don't, Justin, do we need to make a motion for that, or do you need or just general?
I can bring an item back for the next meeting if you'd like to.
Okay.
And that's assuming that the county declaration of the state of emergency holds out until then.
Sure.
And then we do still have access, and Carol can correct me if I'm wrong. We do still have access to St. Andrews.
Yeah,
but I think they just want forewarning when we plan on using it.
Right now, it's set up for the ever famous rummage sale, so I don't think you want to meet right now, but but we'll be done with that before September comes.
One thing, will we be able to figure out video? Or I know in the past, pre-COVID, there's, just getting video for ongoing anyways, but then also were we planning on doing any Zoom at all for the public, or, yeah, I guess those are two questions, if we could have a discussion or information about that.
I was thinking, Jamie, that we would continue the Zoom platform as best we could. And allowing a couple months gives us a chance to work out those details. If Justin has ideas on video, that's great, but I was thinking we were going to try and continue the Zoom. I think we get pretty good participation with it, and I'm willing to give it a try in person and having it on the screen if everybody else is willing to try it as well.
Sure. It's almost like we did for the manager interviews.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and we can obviously test and figure out what's going to work, but I had some ideas, like using if all of council is sitting together, using a webcam pointed at all of council, and then maybe trying to use a projector to show all of the participants up on a wall or something. But we can figure that out. but we have some time.
Okay, anything else, Justin?
I think that's it.
Okay, I'll move into my report. As we discussed under the meeting agenda there, on Wednesday, we've got a council workshop starting at 6 o'clock to start talking or to talk about the city manager search. So thank you for everybody for responding to the doodle poll and getting that set up so quickly. Relative to the city council vacancy, I do have another recommendation on the agenda, as you all know, for a little later on here. I was able to complete my recommendations for the various boards and commissions. And since it's on the consent agenda, I wanted to make sure I listed them here in case anybody has any questions. I denoted with an asterisk those that were reappointments, people that desire to continue and have been doing a good job in their participation. And then there's a couple new names. Beverly Hill on the Arts, Culture, and Heritage Committee to fill a vacancy, and to fill the two alternates, Lisa Schmierk and Robin Cohen, to fill the two alternates on the ZBA. So I wanted to make sure that you saw those. We covered the in-person meetings. Wanted to make council aware that I've been asked to serve on the host committee for the Huron River Watershed Council's fundraising event. My responsibilities for that are simply to encourage people to buy some tickets for the fundraiser. And I gave a few names of some friends that they could send a special invitation to. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I've accepted that. My wife and I will be doing that together. I've attended that event for, I can't remember how many years, Paul, it's been going on, but almost all of them. And look forward to it again this year. It's the second Thursday of September. There were no major items discussed at the DDA this past month, but there was some concern. There was some division over whether the blue barricades outside the grotto represented a safety hazard or a liability because they block the ability to see the orange and the white, which is the primary reason for the barricades with the color coding. That's generally the safety end. We didn't conclude anything at that meeting. Karen Magditch, who was on the DDA board, is an attorney that works in that area, and she was going to take a look. Wasn't trying to get into a long discussion tonight, but I want to let you know that there might be an opinion that gets floated around on whether we have to change those or have the grotto modify them in some cases to let more orange and white through, but I haven't heard anything since the meeting on it, but I want to make sure council saw my note there. At the Dexter Area Fire Department meeting, we did not have any action items. We may even cancel our July meeting. Just typically, we've done this in the past in the summer. Everything's going along pretty good. They're planning for the opening of the Webster Township Station. They're waiting on a certificate of occupancy and a final action by the Webster Township Board, I think, to open it up. So the chief is preparing well with additional staff to staff that station. So that's a pretty exciting thing. We will have 4 members full-time in our district, which is really good because it helps meet the 2 in, 2 out rule. So that's a good thing. I had lunch with Mike Penn, one of our newest DDA members. And as it turns out, he's friends with Luke Bonner, who did some work for the city on our economic development strategic plan a couple of years back. So anyway, talked a little bit about the history of what the DDA has done and some of their involvement in different projects just to catch him up since he's a new member. And then I participated in the Chamber Golf outing on this past Tuesday, a week ago, and pretty well attended event up at Hudson Mills. The course is in great shape. And anyway, good opportunity to catch up with folks. Does anybody have any questions for me on anything? Okay. We are doing really good on this agenda. I'm going to move down to I-7. Zach was good enough to submit a council member report this month. Zach, is there anything that you would like to add to the written report?
Nope, just that I think that's probably the first time in 6 years I've hit reply all instead of reply. So I wanted to have it in there for complete openness and sunshine and all that good stuff. Word to the wise, when you are using Gmail on your phone, the buttons may look different from what you expect on your computer. So pay attention to that.
No problem. I'm sure some of that can be covered next month when we have our item scheduled for the fire station. So good stuff. And then we added 7B. Hubbard, you wanted to say a few things?
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to give a brief report back on an experience I had on Saturday. I don't know if all of you know, but some of the area youth organized the first annual Dexter Pride event in Monument Park for Pride Month. And I was able to attend, and, you know, I mean, we all know that we have some impressive kids in this city, and it's just another example of that. They were gracious enough to allow me to speak. I did self-identify as a member of council, but my remarks were purely personal. And I basically just let them know how much it meant to me personally, what they were doing, and how much has changed in the last 20 odd years since I was in high school. And there were only about 4 people who were willing to stand up in the whole school and, you know, talk about LGBTQIA+ issues, which we didn't even have those many letters back then. So there were a lot of really moving speeches and a lot of things that, and I said this to them too, you know, I identified with a part of every one of their speeches because I've experienced it and I've, you know, lived through it as a member of the community. But that is, I know how far we've come in the last 20 years, but it was just sad. I guess sad is the wrong word. It was pretty heartbreaking for me to hear that they are still experiencing a lot of the same mental health and issues and bullying and things like that. So I just want all of you to be aware that while I truly believe we are an open and welcoming community, there still is that aspect of things going on out there for our kids. And I don't know, I would hope that each and every one of you, if you see something or hear something like that happening, would step up as a leader of the community and let people know it's not okay to bully people for who they are. So that's about it. It was a great event. Proud of the kids. You call them kids, you know, they're young people and they called me old, so I guess it's okay.
Thanks, Wah. Thanks for attending and giving the report.
Thanks for the time to talk about it.
No problem. No problem. Okay, well, we have made it through the reports. We are down to our consent agenda where there are 7 items on the consent agenda.
I move we approve the
Go ahead.
7 items. Oh, sorry. Are you finished?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Fisher. Yep.
I move we approve the 7 items listed on the consent agenda. Bills and payroll in the amount of $227,580.75. The mayor's appointments to boards and commissions, the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget amendments, fiscal year 2020-21 DDA budget amendments, the Hart Verity equipment maintenance contract for maintenance of election equipment, not to exceed $11,083.80. And the WARMA Articles of Incorporation to permit the city of Ann Arbor to join WARMA, and the 2021-2022 fee schedule resolution.
Thank you, Donna. Motion by Fisher. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Griffin. Thank you, Jamie. As the public knows, we don't discuss any items on the consent agenda unless they're pulled off. So, Ms. Jones, if you would please call the vote to approve the 7 items on the consent agenda, please.
Yes. Griffin,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Michelle,
Same.
that's right, Keo.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries 5-0 with one abstention. We are down to old business. Item K1, discussion of city council vacancy. It's really intended to be a consideration item. After going back and looking at everything, I'd like to bring forward another person for council's consideration. I'd like to recommend Sanam Arab to fill the seat vacated by Julie Knight for the remainder of her term, which would be ending November 2022. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me. All of the applicants' letters were included again in the packet for everyone to see. And in accordance with the process there, I'm going to ask for Ms. Jones to call the vote, but I thought I'd let you ask any questions if you have them.
Do we need a second on this one?
No, there's no motion and second. It's a recommendation and then it's a straight
The
vote.
recommendation.
Carol.
Okay,
So I want to make sure I'm not missing a hand anywhere. Okay, please call the vote for Sanam Arab to fill the council vacancy.
okay. Fisher,
Yes.
Griffin,
No.
Cousins,
Yes. Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Thank you for that. We will welcome our new council member at the next meeting. I don't think she's going to be able to join this evening as she had a personal commitment related to the coming birth of her and her Carl's son. So very good. It's great to be back to 7. Thank you for the support on that. We will move on to new business.
Sean, I have a comment.
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
I think, no, it's all right. I think this is the first time in Dexter Village or City Council history that we've had a majority of women on the board and a council. And I look forward to their wisdom and their willingness to move us forward. And thank you for all the past people have done that, but I think it's a big step forward.
Yep, no, I agree. We had it with Julie and we'll retain it with Saddam, so that's excellent. New business item L1. There's a lot of pages to this, but we've been looking at this. So this is a consideration of our General Appropriations Act to adopt the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. And let me just get down there. Is there someone that would like, oh, Jamie, your hand is up. Great.
Yeah, yep. I think this is the way to do it. I move to approve the resolution presented on page 109 of
Yep.
the packet. I don't know if I need to read any of that.
Nope, you do not. 109 through, get to the last page,
I'll second.
through 115. So 109 through 115 and support second by Fisher.
Yes.
Excellent. Is there any discussion needed? Or Justin, you and your staff have worked very hard to get to this point. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Thank you. I mean, just only, thank you to council for working with us through this process. Assuming the vote passes tonight, Marie and I will work on finalizing the full budget document. And we'll prepare binders for everyone, and we'll drop those off at everybody's house. For those of you who haven't seen the full budget document before, it has information on departments, and it's a lot of supplement to the numbers. And it's something that I know Marie works very hard on, and we typically every year receive the JFOA Distinguished Budget Award for our budget document. Maria, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say about it.
No, not really. I guess if somebody would prefer to have it electronically, they can just let me know. And for the new council people, we do present it to council at a meeting to ask for you to accept it. And the reason we do that, even though you've already approved the budget, is because there is policy statements in there. And so by accepting it, you're agreeing to the policy statements that are within the budget. And the policy is all financial related, fund balance policies, accounting policies, that sort of thing.
Thanks for your work on it too, Marie. Appreciate it. Jamie, see your hands up?
Yeah, thanks. Marie, just mentioning getting it electronically. Is this something that's eventually posted to the website?
Yes.
Okay, so if I want it electronically, I can find it that way, right? Okay.
Yeah, we do have the past 10-ish or so years posted on the website currently.
Okay. Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay. Let me just click through here. Seeing no further comment or no pencils in the air, I'm going to ask Ms. Jones to call the vote to approve the General Appropriations Act and our budget.
Okay, Hubbard,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, everyone. New business item L2 is consideration of setting a public hearing for the July 26th, 2021 meeting for the conflict of interest ordinance that is presented in the packet.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Fisher.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second? Zach, give me a wave.
All second for discussion.
All right, thank you, Zach. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Fisher, you made the motion? Anything you want to say, or you want to let Zach?
No, he can go ahead.
Okay, Zach, I'll let you go first. Or go
Well,
next.
so I wanted to clarify is the intent that it's the draft starting on page 154 that we're setting the public hearing for, or are we okay making changes between that and what comes before us for public hearing?
Wait, repeat that for me.
So we have a draft that starts on page 154
Yep.
of the packet.
Yep.
Is the intent that the public hearing is for that draft, or are we able to make amendments between now and then?
Generally, you can make non-substantial amendments to a public hearing that is set. So if you set it for this and you found some grammatical text items that can be changed. If there's broad sweeping changes, then you would probably want to wait to set a public hearing for that version.
Okay, so maybe I'm confused. I was thinking that that we were suggesting putting forward the one that had the revisions that Jamie had recommended, the ones down on 164. Am I missing something? Or that's a different one, right? I mean, that's an updated version, right?
Yeah, there are two versions. One that is the same as you saw, I want to say the last 2 meetings or so. And then the second version, which included Councilmember Griffin's edits that you saw at the last meeting.
Yeah, I'm personally not, I think getting public comment on more information or on all the proposed changes would be fine. I'm not sure if I'm ready to accept them all yet, but I'm interested in public comment on all of it. I'm not sure where the other council members fall.
I agree.
Donna, you agree? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'd like to know what the community thinks. Yeah, I'd like their input.
Okay. Jamie, I see your hand.
Yep. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I willingly or unwillingly, people have continue this conversation as long as they have, recognizing that I think it started in October of 2019, which was a year before my time. So I'm only 8 months into into this. You guys are into it longer. So I don't know. I apparently am establishing a habit of introducing new information at the 11th hour. And so I'm just going to stick with that and say I was doing more review of this and looking at MML guidance. And I found an ordinance that I think is really great. It's the City of Rochester in Michigan. In the MML Ethics Handbook, they cite a number of excerpts from it. So just want to throw that out there, that I'd almost, I'd be happy to adopt their ordinance with changing their city name to our city name. I think, and I know I didn't share it with anybody, so maybe we don't go this route, but I will just make a couple of comments to say that I think it addresses some of the concerns that came up with the edits I was proposing. For example, I know Paul was concerned about volunteering for an organization, and in their ordinance, they specifically call out when and why.
When and why that's okay.
Right. So they talk about having they talk about, they define directly involved.
Okay.
And so they say that that's when you're participating in a material decision-making capacity of an entity or organization, more than merely volunteering to serve on an event basis, contributing to the entity, or participating in some activity put on or sponsored by the entity. So I think that sort of addresses that concern, where they call it specifically when you're directly involved, and they say direct involvement doesn't include that. I think they address some of some other concerns where, I think where Zach abstains from the consent agenda. It seems like they would potentially permit that because they say they're not prohibited from taking any action to approve the lawful payment of ... contract amounts, reimbursements of actual and necessary expenses, or other lawful payments which are authorized in accordance with City of Rochester policies.
Wait, so Jamie?
Yep.
Jamie, so here's what I'd like to request.
Yeah.
If you have a better version,
Yeah.
I'd want to get the public comment on the better version, not on a different version. So
Right.
what I would prefer is that you get that next version into the next meeting, and that we set the public hearing based upon that.
Okay.
And we just postpone action on this now and let the other one be put in. Then it won't be like 11th hour. It'll be in the packet. We'll see it.
Right.
Okay. Does
Right.
that make sense?
I would appreciate that. And I would be in favor of delaying it. I would want you to see this. Their ordinance establishes a board of ethics. I don't know how I feel about that either way. So that will be in there, but I will call attention to key points that I think people would need to pay attention to, but I really like it almost in its entirety as it is. So
Better than the one that you have in here now.
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
And I
well,
think that-
then why don't we just, if someone's willing to make the motion, let's not get caught up in the details of that one. Sounds like there's a lot of positives to it.
Yeah.
Let's have that show up in the next packet. At this point, one extra meeting isn't gonna
Okay.
make or break what we're doing.
Yeah.
Cousins makes a motion, we postpone item 2, new
Second.
business, till the next meeting.
Second.
Okay, motion by Cousins, second by Fisher.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Zach, I didn't mean to cut you off. If you have more questions to make, the floor is still yours, but we have a motion out there. Okay. Okay, Ms. Jones, call the vote to postpone this item until the next meeting so that we can get the sample Rochester ordinance in front of us.
Okay, Fisher,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Motion carries to postpone. Thank you. We are now down to item L3, page 171 of the packet. Consideration of setting a public hearing for July 26, 2021 to consider an amendment to the General Code of Ordinances for small cell wireless infrastructure regulation.
So move.
Moved by Cousins,
I'll
Second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jamie.
That's fine. Either one.
second by Griffin. is there any council discussion necessary on this or, Michelle, you worked hard on this, you and Mike, anything you need to add?
I'm happy to go through an overview if you need it, if you've got any questions.
No, just
or
related to the
comments.
public hearing.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I had reached out to Michelle via email, just a little bit of background on, when ordinances are presented, how quickly that typically happens. And I think she had mentioned that there were, I don't know, extenuating circumstances or reasons to potentially expedite this. So I was curious if she wanted to describe those.
Okay.
So
Please.
the primary reason, excuse me, for the urgency is I have been contacted by Verizon. They want to do a small cell. They want to put up a new pole. They requested co-location on various DTE poles. And I've been able to confirm with DTE that DTE will not allow it. And it's not because they don't want to work with Verizon. They would be more than happy to if they could. It's just that the co-location does not meet the standards they have for the particular poles and location that that they need to put this small cell facility. Excuse me. I'm hoping that they will work with us since we do not have an ordinance in place. And I am working with our with Doug Weber to communicate with them. They have not made a formal application, but it is coming.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. So we have a motion by Cousins, second by Griffin, to schedule the public hearing for this for July 26th, 2021. Zach, sorry, I see your hand.
Yep. Just a couple of quick questions. I noticed in there that it appears to create, for lack of a better term in small cell wireless, legal nonconformities, wherein if a structure was in place the day that this is adopted, it gets to remain. Is that through the state enabling legislation, or is that a choice
No.
here?
The majority of what's in here comes right from the state act. Excuse me. There's not a lot of leeway. So hopefully there's a very broad statement regarding the information that an authority, meaning this, in this case, the city of Dexter, can require. And it's that very broad statement that allows us to, excuse me, create regulations for design, compatibility, things like that, especially in downtown and residential districts. But the act is also very specific. You can't take advantage of that in such a way that your regulations become designed or interpreted by some legal authority that we're trying to prevent the location of small cell facilities.
I will put out there this idea then. My recollection is our general law ordinances become effective 30 days after published. Either, no?
Sorry.
I thought that was in our charter, and zoning ordinances were 7 days. If there is going to be a gap of time from when we take this up at a public hearing to when it becomes effective, I would like to see consideration for adoption of a moratorium just for that interim window so that there aren't any established. That's all, and see what we can do about getting a smaller gap, although I think it's pretty hard baked into our charter.
I'll double check. I thought that,
I believe it's effective
excuse
upon
me,
publication.
the charter allowed it to go into effect upon publication, correct? Or unless you set it up for a different time frame. And unfortunately, a moratorium is not an option. In the act, it makes it very clear. We don't have that ability.
Okay, other council comments or questions? Okay, Paul, it looks like you're sleeping.
No,
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just waiting for somebody to say,
Yep, please-
move on
please-
here.
Yep, I'm gonna, Ms. Jones, please call the vote.
Yes. Cousins,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes,
Michelle,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
We've
you.
set the public hearing for July 26th. New business item L4, consideration of a proposal from OHM Advisors for a retainer-based as-needed staff assistance for an amount not to exceed 18,400.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Fisher. Thank you, Donna. Is there a second?
Oh, a second.
Wah, is that you?
Yeah.
Thank you, Wah. For the second. Okay, Justin, I'll turn this over to you, please.
Yeah, so when Donna left in 2014, Courtney brought on and I believe it was approved by City Council. Courtney brought on OHM in a part-time capacity. They brought someone in to work in the office, to assist with moving projects forward, and to kind of fill that gap on a temporary basis until a permanent full-time position could be filled. This proposal is similar to that. We've been without a full-time person in the office for about 7 months now. And staff has been doing a great job of continuing to move things forward. But I think it would be nice at this point to bring someone on, even if temporarily, to fill that gap. In their proposal, OHM has proposed at minimum a month or 4 weeks worth of work at $2,300 a week. The agenda includes 18,400, which would be essentially 2 months. We may not require that, depending on what happens with the position, with the city manager position. But I think bringing someone on at this point will help relieve some of the burden. I don't want to say burden, but some of the additional work that's taking place by other members of staff in lieu of having that full-time person in the office.
Okay. Jamie.
Yep. How long, the last time this happened, what was the span of time before additional help was sought? Just out of curiosity.
I think it was almost immediate, or within the first couple of months
I think.
after that position was vacated.
And do you know, like, how long did it take to fill that position that time?
Justin, when were you hired?
So I applied in October of 2014, and I was hired in January of 2015.
So I think that, I think it would have been like about 4 or 5 months, Jamie, because I think Donna left in August, and then we had the cityhood vote in November. And so it was an interim stopgap, if I recall. So about 5 months is what we did last time. That's my guess without looking it up.
Mm-hmm. I have oh God.
If you have another question, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm gonna.
Yeah, thanks.
Zach.
Yeah, right. No, I appreciate that this is being brought to our attention, and I'm trying to better understand why it's taken longer this time around, and it could just be because of the transition in council and other personal things that have come up in council members' lives. I'm also curious to know, because I'm guessing that Justin is not going to be at the meeting on Wednesday. Is that right? Or are you planning on being at the meeting on Wednesday?
I was not planning on attending
Okay.
the council work session about the city manager position.
Okay, so I guess I just have a couple of questions for you about that. If you were, if I could ask them at this point, if that's okay. If you were appointed to the city manager position, do you have an estimate of how long it would take you to hire someone in a more permanent role, either as your assistant or however you would manage that?
Sure, I would say it would take 1 to 2 months to bring somebody on full
1
time.
to 2 months.
No less than 4 weeks, but probably closer to 6 to 8.
Okay. And if you weren't appointed, would you be interested in staying on in any capacity?
I would. I mean, I would stay on.
I just want to understand the full set of possibilities. So thank you.
Sure.
Yep, good questions. Zach, thanks for waiting.
Yep, I'm gonna start by saying we really should have wrapped this up in under 3 months. It's kind of embarrassing that we've come this far and haven't resolved it. My only concern is that when I do the math, it comes out to about $95 an hour that we would be paying. And I believe we can get a lot more hours from competent folks at a lesser rate. So that's my major concern, is that $95 an hour is a lot to have engineers answering phones for basic questions. That's it.
Okay. Other council comments? Paul, I see your pencils up.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Zach. In fact, it's taken much too long for us to make this decision. Maybe it's the way it happened this time, but it's take too long, and $95 an hour. You know, I don't think we should be OHM sugar daddy.
Okay.
So I will add that OHM will be working on high level projects while they're here, not just answering phones.
Yeah, I think, you know, I don't know how long it's gonna take to wrap up the city manager discussion. We're obviously scheduled to do that in 2 days to have a discussion with now a 7-member board, but I can tell you that my recollection is that when we had OHM contribute as a part-time staff member, well, 7 years ago or 6 years ago now, it did free up staff and did help get things done. So I would encourage us to give staff some help here. I'm optimistic that maybe we can figure out our city manager sooner than later, but in the interim, I don't see why we wouldn't support this. So I'm gonna vote for it. But Jamie, I see your hand up, and then Wah.
I think Waz was up before me.
Oh, all right, we'll do Wah, and then I was going by.
I think I answered my own question, which was just that, I mean, I see this in the memo, but there's always the option to extend if mutually desired, but we are committing to 4 weeks. There's no, I mean, it can't be like 3 weeks. You know, I guess what I'm saying is like the 4 weeks is the minimum. Like if things shifted around and it wasn't necessary, we couldn't terminate this contract.
I think there's a lot of flexibility in the proposal. So
Okay.
if we went to if after 3 weeks we said to OHM, you know, we're good, we don't need that person anymore, then I don't think that there would be any.
Okay, that makes me more comfortable with it, just because I do think that you guys need immediate help, but I don't want to commit to longer than that help would be needed.
Yeah, this is just not to exceed, so it's at the discretion of our city manager to determine whether they need them or not.
Thank you.
Is my read of it. Jamie, thanks for waiting.
Yeah, sure. So I did the math, the weekly retainer of $2,300 divided by 40. Google is telling me 57.5.
It's 24 hours a week.
Oh, 24 hours a week. That's okay. Thank you. I was a math major, not an arithmetic major. That's what I.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I had to read a couple times. I think it's 24 hours or 3 days a week is where.
Right. Thank you. Okay. Thanks.
Yep, you're welcome.
We are paying for, you know, the proposal is for an engineer.
I don't know what the going rate is for an engineer.
Okay, Ms. Jones, please call the vote. We have a motion by Fisher, second by Wah.
Okay, Fisher,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Michelle,
No.
Griffin,
Yes.
Cousins,
No.
Keel.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries 4-2. New business item L5 is a discussion item, discussion of seeking the support of an external facilitator. Ms. Griffin, you requested this item and proposed the topic, I believe through the last council comments that you had. So I'll let you open it up and explain what's here and share your ideas.
Right, so I am trying to help us as we re-begin or continue, however you want, whatever you want to call it, conversations about the fire station. And there's a lot of information. There's been a lot of discussion on this. But I think I mentioned the document that Jim Smith had put together that goes back to 2006. So as best as I can tell, there's some reason that this just is not moving forward or isn't getting resolved. And it's not clear to me what that is. And I think sometimes when you've been in the thick of things for a long time, it's hard to have that perspective anymore. And I think we could benefit by having an outside perspective, somebody to help us navigate that conversation, or at least initially. So I reached out to both someone at the MML and someone at the MSU Extension Office. I think in the packet, MML, they share this on-site training, building a high-functioning leadership team, full-day workshop, which is, you know, training to work better together and developing your leadership team. That wasn't exactly what I had in mind, although I'm open to that. If, you know, at some point we have a lull in activity and we want to do some council training as a group. I know people talked about at the core weekender, is it ever a thing where an entire council is attending trainings like that? And they recommended that it's a good thing for an entire council to attend sort of continuing education together. And then I heard from this woman, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Prekucki at MSU. So there was an amendment or a supplement where she shared some additional details about what that might look like. This might be more in line of what I was thinking, where somebody is coming in or coming to Zoom and helping us come up with either a plan to move forward, or, you know, it's not exactly clear to me what it would look like, except to say that somebody else maybe leading the conversation, helping us identify a way forward would be helpful. So in the email she sent that's in the supplement, she references something that they did similar for somebody else. It was a strategic plan. She said, but the gist would essentially be the same, where it's a 2-hour visioning session. You come up with 5 to 7 priorities and then 35 to 40 actions that come out of that. And that's something you could do just a one-off thing for 2 hours. But then later she mentions 3 hours. So I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3 hours. And she indicates that that is usually $850. I'm curious to know what people think about that general approach, open to modifications to the specific details or getting additional quotes, or if people want to restart this on our own. I'm somewhat hesitant. You know, we did the city manager search on our own and it's taken 8 months. Council has been talking about the fire station sort of on its own since at least 2006. And we're still here. So I thought it's something that might be worth a try.
Thoughts from other council members? Or I can go first. So Jamie, a couple things. I'm going to say this, and I don't want to I'm not trying to create an argument here, but, you know, I don't think that this is necessarily turned personal. And I also think that there are 3 new council members that haven't had a chance to explore this at all. In the 7 months that we've been together, there's certainly been a lot going on, but we're going to have our first planned conversation on this topic at our next meeting, along with our newest 7th council member. So rather than try to make a decision on that, I'd like to have it brought back as part of next meeting's agenda for people to think about and talk about. And I think that, you know, at the meeting next week or in 2 weeks, you know, we just need to go around and each one of us needs to state what's on our mind about this topic and get it out on the table in an open stage. And if we decide that after hearing each other out a little bit, that we think it has to be facilitated, I think we can certainly go that route. But I think that there have been, for a topic that we haven't talked about, there's more discussion around that topic than actually among us. And I think we should start talking about it and see how we can move that forward. And I'm looking forward to the meeting in July. We've got the budget behind us. We just got our 7th council member. The city office thing is not tied to it. We can focus on the fire station. And I'm pretty confident we can do that this group can do that. So I'm looking forward to the meeting in July, but I'm not ready to make a decision on the facilitator today. As I said, when I saw you in the park on Saturday, I appreciate all the research you've done on it. It's interesting to think about. I've been part of visioning sessions. I've worked to lead visioning sessions, but and they can be very effective, but we need to understand what each other's thinking on this a little bit. And I don't mean live in the past. I don't mean live in Jim Smith's book. Jim Smith's book has a lot of good historical information on things. But it's 2021. And the facts are different today than they were 7 years ago. We own property. There's 2 more stations in our district. There's a lot of new things, new angles to come at this from. And I think we should get started on our own. And I'm looking forward to the July meeting. I'm hoping that Justin has gotten a whole bunch of stuff off the agenda on this meeting, because it certainly was a full agenda for 206 pages, that we can dedicate some significant time to that topic. That's my thoughts anyway. If I don't see any other hands up, I'm going to assume that we're all waiting until the next meeting to talk about it more, and we can go on to L6. Oh, Zach, thank you.
Yep. I will say that I am not optimistic that we'll get anything resolved. We're already up against the deadline for building something in the next construction season, which puts us back to 2023 at the earliest. And it's terribly disappointing that the largest cost of a fire station between now and 2016, when we had workable designs, is going to be the escalation costs. More than half, if you do the math, between then and now, which significantly outweighs our OPEB and health retirement liabilities. I don't think we can get there. I think we're going to be working at this for another 3 years. That's all.
Why?
I guess I'd like to try and stay optimistic about this. And that's not to say I don't think this is a good idea to discuss, but given what Zach just said, I'm just wondering if, like, I would like to have the work, like have one discussion where we see what happens before we decide whether or not we need a third party to come in. I mean, I want to have faith in us, guys. I do, and I'd like to give it a try before we just say we can't. And if we need it, we need it. But I'd just like to give it a try first.
Okay, Ms. Fisher.
Yeah, I concur with Wah. If you'll allow me to indulge in a little bit of going backward in terms of history, I've been here a long time, and I have been through at least 4 of those kinds of workshops. And it depends on who runs that workshop as to how beneficial it is. I too think that as much as anything, I need to talk with people about how do you see us going ahead? What do you see happening? More than it costs this much, we've had this, I just want to move forward. And I'd like to try that first. And if we can't get off the mark, then I guess we'll have to take a look at what other options we have. But for me, I'd like to see what happens in a meeting. And if we come in with a commitment to be honest about what we're doing and straightforward, then I think we can move. I think it'll be okay.
Ms. Griffin. Thanks, Donna.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, I'm fine waiting till Sanam joins us. I will say that, you know, since 2007, I think you've been mayor, and this has been a topic during the, you know, the whole duration of the time, and hasn't been resolved. We have also talked about this as a council currently. We had a number of goal setting sessions where this came up. We had a separate work session where the chief came and updated the needs assessment. And Zach has submitted a number of action items related to this. So there's something that's not working in either how we're talking about it, how we're approaching it, who's facilitating the conversation, how we're orienting ourselves to the discussion. So I maintain that this is my preferred way of moving forward. We can wait to decide that till next week. That's fine. This is just a discussion item. Thank you.
Yeah, Jamie, that's all fine, but you know, I think you know, when there's 4 people that make a decision on what to do, action occurs. And the only thing that this council has agreed upon to the level of 4 votes, or maybe 5, was buying the property.
Actually, that was 7-1. That was a 7-1 vote.
A 7-1 vote?
Yep,
We don't have 7 members.
6-1.
6-1 vote, sorry.
Okay, my apologies. Was it 6-1 to buy the property?
Yep.
Okay, it was 6-1. Okay, so beyond that, at that time or following that, there weren't 4 votes to do anything other than buy the property. It's not because the topic, as you pointed out, hasn't been on the agenda. It's because there hasn't been agreement on what to do or agreement on what to do. And we have to talk about that more than just throw stuff up out of, you know, bring stuff to the table as one idea. It's got to be group discussions on it. And I think we should try and have it. I wasn't acknowledging that that the topic didn't come up, but we haven't spent a dedicated amount of time listening to each other tell what our concerns are, what we think, what we're willing to do, how much we're willing to spend, where we think it should go, why we think it should go there, all the different things. This council hasn't done that. Part of it's because we've been 1 member short. Part of it's because we've had other things on the table. I think we're ready to get there. Like I said, I'm optimistic about that conversation. I'm looking forward to it. But none of us can live in the past. We can only go forward. What we didn't do as a group.
Right.
Not just one person. All of us haven't done this. So if we can find something that we're in agreement to do, I'm sure we'll do it. Assuming we know how to pay for it. But I mean, if you know, you might say if we had the money in the bank, this would be done. But we don't. So part of the challenge of this is coming up with a scenario that helps us get the support of the people on it. And we have to be unified in that, or pretty close to unified, or it's going to be tough, I think. So let's give it a chance together. Let's trust each other and have the conversation in July. And it probably won't get resolved at the July 12th meeting, but hopefully we can each share some thoughts on it, on where it needs to go, and what type of framework you see it going in. We'll find out if we're divided or we need more information or whatever. Zach, sorry I just noticed your hand.
Yep, not to be a Debbie Downer, but just timelines wise, 5 p.m. July 27th is the deadline for November ballot issues. So we're already back into 22.
Okay.
And how many million will that be?
Probably 10 to 15% escalation.
Okay. Any other comments? Oh, Paul, I see your hand.
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts going through my head right now on why we are where we are. But we all knew that the present office was too tight for the type of personnel and the amount of personnel we had. But we never weighed that as it related to the fire hall and its needs. We said that, some said that it was important that we get this done first. We've got it done. But my long-term was this is, it would only have taken one motion to have this resolved. And that is how we operate in the state of Michigan is that somebody puts a motion on the board and a majority wins. But we never got to that point. There have been votes, there were 4 on one side that would have done that. But then the question is, if you're divided, how much of a chance does that have with the city residents of approving that? Well, they all go back and say, this is this, and this is this, and it costs too much and this and that. I've had residents that have come to me and said, I support a new fire hall at the site that you've chosen. I don't support the amount of money. Well, if you support a fire hall and you support it at the site that we got, it's going to be more money if we wait any further or longer. I think I mentioned it before. Zach can correct me if I'm wrong. 2016, Portage, Michigan, built a fire hall that was 18,000 square feet, a brand new one, and it cost them just slightly over $6 million. We could have done the same thing. But by delaying, it's going to be now 8 or 9 million. And if we wait till 2022 or 23, it's going to be more. So the longer we wait, the more it costs. And whether you like the size of the fire hall here that has been discussed, the criteria that we use to build that fire hall, and whether Webster Township or Dexter Township built one should have nothing at all to do with what we do as independent citizens of this city. They made those decisions based on what they thought was best for their residents and to give them fire protection. What we did in this, what we were doing in the city is not going to make it any better for them or any less, because they still have people they can't reach even where they built their sites. We have to do what's best for the city. And we can use this idea that we are a fire community, but it still comes down to us and how we feel we need to operate. And I'm convinced that the city residents, when they see the amount and what we can do with that, whether we have to cut it down by some other amount in some other way, we can do that. But it only takes somebody to say, I make a motion, a second, and 4 votes to pass anything. Some of us have been very timid about doing that because we know that a 4-3 vote doesn't have much of a chance, one way or the other. And I don't know if we're waiting for some miracle to happen along, but Jamie, maybe your idea of a facilitator would work. You realize that we had open meetings with the public before you were even a citizen of this community, and we haven't had one to discuss this? They can come to the council meeting. They can sit on Zoom and they can say something. But as far as a community meeting, we've never had one. And depending on how you accounted, those that were there, and there was a majority of people that wanted to have a new fire hall. There were some that didn't. But we haven't had one because I guess we're scared to hear what the public has to say about it. So we just cancel them. We had a committee of citizens of the board, a site committee. Fred Smith was appointed by the DDA, 3 of us from the council. We voted 4-1 every time to build a new fire hall. Every time. Never changed. The one vote that didn't happen was Sean, our leader. And so it never happened. And that's the fact. It's not necessarily a condemnation, it is a fact. As long as we have this process, excuse the dog, as long as we have this process here, where we're not willing to make decisions, this will never be. We'll be talking about this in 2025, later on. Oh, we don't need it now. We have no idea what's going to happen in the future with fire departments, consolidations, anything about it. But I know one thing, under the present banner that we have with the DFD, we are the main station in this unit. And there's a reason for that. And whether they build a fire hall out there, and Webster or Dexter had nothing at all to what we do here. If we're not, let them run our fire hall then. Let's pick another unit to be the center of the city, or center of the DAFD, and make it the main fire hall. There's a reason it was here. The population, the schools, the industry. That's the reason we have a main fire hall here. The proximity, the ability to get to those units quickly. And I.
It looks like there was a power surge.
Yeah, there was at my place.
All is well here in Alma.
I can see everybody except Paul is frozen.
You can
Except
see
Sean's
Paul.
frozen too.
Marie, can you see?
Lost Paul as well.
And Wah.
Oh, yeah, I don't see why.
What was indicating that her power came back on, so she should be able to come back on here shortly.
And I just heard thunder here, 25 miles away.
Did you count based on the lightning?
I don't see Paul either. Do we want to call it a 10-minute break until folks can get back on?
I'm fine with 5. I mean, I don't know how quickly they'll get back. 5 or 10, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Jamie, did you choose to take your video out? Or did
No, that went with the surge. I don't know if I can, I have an external camera. I don't know if I can reconnect it.
Oh, I'm not asking you to do anything. I was just curious as to what happened.
Yeah, I have to plug it in via USB and then sometimes it doesn't reconnect to mid-call.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, maybe I might just log out and log back in and that should do it. So I'll do that. Or maybe I can do it. Will this work?
Hello, everybody. Sorry, my internet cut out.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like there was a surge, Sean. There's a few folks who got cut off.
Okay, I just dialed in through my phone, so. Sure.
Was power came back on. She said she's trying to reconnect.
Okay. Who else is still on?
We have Donna. Jamie's reconnecting. Zach's on.
Okay, I'm still waiting for, I don't see Paul yet.
Yeah, I don't see Paul either.
And I just heard Marie's thunder out here in Northville.
Marie, have you done your skating for this time of the year? Have you had, I know you are, this is when you have events. Have you done anything recently? I can't hear you.
Oh,
I can't hear her.
you gotta,
Oh, well.
There, wait, no,
Oh.
there we go. Yes.
There you are.
Actually, Donna, thank you for asking. Usually Adult Nationals is in March or in April. And they delayed it till June in hopes that we would be able to hold it. And it was last Wednesday through Saturday. We
Oh,
had
good.
300 competitors come in, which is small for Adult Nationals, about 100 people less than usual.
Mhm.
And I was in 3 events and I got 3 silvers. So I'm calling this my silver and.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you for that. I'm telling you, you got a late start and you've done nothing but just work, work, work. And I'm really proud of that, Marie.
I'm really happy. My thank you. My dance partner and I worked so hard on this one dance. It was just for a year and a half. We've been working so hard on it, and all we wanted to do was get through 2 patterns of it, and we did. So we were very thrilled.
What was your accompaniment to it?
That was a tango.
Oh, my.
Tango.
I
Yeah.
don't
And
like tangos myself, but I can
Yeah.
imagine.
it's a
Yeah,
tough dance.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. That's
Thanks.
up news. Yeah, we could use a little more of that going around.
And we were just also happy to see everybody from across the country. The masks were required for all participants and all spectators, just because people were coming from, and everybody agreed, like before they said that they would hold it, that you had to either be vaccinated or show a negative test. So
Mhm.
everybody was reasonably assured that people weren't bringing something in,
Mhm.
that everybody's as protected as could be. So
Well, that's good. That's
we didn't
really
have to wear masks on the ice though. We could skate without them.
good. Who's not here?
Paul.
I think Paul's the only one I don't see on the participant window.
And wow.
Oh, and last, yeah.
There's Paul.
Yes.
Okay, great. Paul's muted though, right?
Yep, I asked to unmute.
Thank you, sir.
Unmuted now?
Nope, we can hear you, Paul.
I said, I guess God decided had said enough.
Well, you can, I promise there's more opportunity to continue that story. Looks like we're having,
You're cut out now, Sean.
Yeah, Sean, you're cutting in and out. Can't hear you.
looks like we're gonna have to talk to the cable people again.
Gonna have to do what?
Talk to the cable people again.
We actually haven't had any problems. I think that's probably just weather related.
Sure it is. Huh? I'm sure it's weather related.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Still?
Yeah, quite clearly.
All right, I don't know what I did differently.
How many council members do we have? I see 4 of us, is that right?
So waiting on Wa.
And Wasa, she's almost on.
Zach on?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here. I don't know that I'd say that I'm on.
I hear you.
Can you still hear me, Justin?
Yes.
Sure can.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat my apple.
Crunchy.
I have TMJ, so I'm not allowed to bite into apples. Just gotta cut it into slices.
You can't bite into an apple?
TMJ, maybe that's TMI. I don't know.
Oh, Wa's back.
Okay, so we were on discussion item L5. Can we, is there further discussion needed on L5 or can we go to L6? There's plenty of time to continue the discussion at the next meeting. All right, I'm gonna go to L6 then, which is the new business item we added, Justin.
Correct.
Is there a motion that we can make to put this on the table for discussion?
There was a motion provided in,
I mean, is somebody willing to make a motion to start the conversation?
I'm willing to do that.
Okay, motion by Fisher. Is there a second?
I'll second it. I'm trying to find it.
Second by
Yeah, I'm
Griffin.
still getting my packet pulled back up.
yeah, it's in the supplemental packet.
Right.
All right, Justin, I'll turn this over to you to talk while everybody's finding their supplemental.
Sure. So nothing like a little last minute blip. So as we're working through the items that we needed to do to close, we were looking at kind of wrapping up the environmental piece, and Scott indicated that he was recommending a BEA or baseline environmental assessment be filed with the state. And Scott, if I'm saying anything incorrect, please correct me. And so he reached out to ASTI to see what it would take to file a BEA, and they indicated that based on their phase 1, that they were recommending a phase 2. So the recommendation of doing a phase 2 was based on the fact that there were noted recognized environmental conditions, or RECs, in the phase 1, which as when we received the phase 1 and compared it to the initial 1999 phase 1 and phase 2, there was nothing that really jumped out or popped off the page that seemed like it was of concern in how the city planned to use the property. But ASTI indicated that those items still warranted a phase 2. So in talking with ASTI, they indicated that they could begin the phase 2 as early as July 9th, with a 7 to 10 day turnaround for a verbal report on what they find from the phase 2. The BEA can still be filed up to 45 days after we close on the property. But the recommendation is to wait to sign off on the closing documentation until we have that initial report from the phase 2 from ASTI. Scott, is there anything you'd like to add about that?
No, that's a very good summary. Happy to answer any questions.
Justin, you're gonna have to help me if there's a hand up, please.
Sure.
If there's no council questions or discussions.
Zach has his hand up.
Okay, I see it. Yep, I see it. Just popped up. Go ahead, Zach.
Yep, I'm probably gonna ask more dumb questions than I usually do because I came home from work, I walked the dog, and then we had a meeting. So I haven't looked at this until we had the power blip delay there. So where to start? I think it's really important to do this. The potential liability for these types of things can be huge. Do we have to pay any money for extending the purchase agreement?
So I talked to Jeff Evans, and they've been very flexible, and they fully understand what the city's process is and what the city is going through. So they have not indicated that there would be any additional cost to extend the due diligence period.
All right, and the recommendation is to extend it to the 19th, but that looks very tight potentially with the phase 2. Should we push it longer? Another week, for example?
So per the purchase agreement, we did have, or under the initial purchase agreement, we have 30 days to close after the end of the due diligence period. So even if it's up to 30 days after the initial deadline of the due diligence period, we're still kind of within that time frame. So if we wanted to add some time, I think that's still doable. Scott, do you see any issue with that?
No, what we were kind of trying to do, Councilmember Michelle, was give enough time to the city to be able to do an appropriate investigation, but not too much time, so that we don't, overly inconvenience the seller, if that's the right way to say it. But what we thought was in discussions with the ASTI folks was they seemed pretty confident that they would have the results back, and if the additional information reveals no problems, then we could close quickly. If it does reveal some issues, then we probably would have to go back to the sellers to discuss those issues, and that might require another extension. We could either push it out now, or try to deal with it and try and keep it moving as kind of reasonably quickly. And Justin, maybe you could add, if in your conversation with Jeff Evans, whether you sensed any difficulty in moving the date back. We could always do that, but we, just trying to move the transaction forward, but yet needing to protect Dexter's interests. So that's kind of where we came down with that particular date.
Sure, and I didn't talk with them about anything past that week, the week of the 19th.
Are we likely to find anything that will make us not want to purchase this?
I don't think so. So kind of the worst case scenario from what ASTI said was if they find the presence of vinyl chloride, which for the 1999 2000 phase 2 kind of wrote off, then there may be some potential mitigation. It could require a soil ventilation system, where I guess they put PVC down in like try and vent the soil. Another option might be to do internal air quality testing. And that's kind of from my understanding, that's kind of the worst case scenario. That isn't to say that they will find it. Apparently vinyl chloride is a material that breaks down over time. And so when they found the initial sample from the soil boring in 1999 2000, they kind of wrote it off because they didn't find anything else with it. So they chalked it up to either testing error or an anomaly. And there's still that potential that with the new methods that environmental companies have to test, they might not find it at all. They might find lower quantities that don't require mitigation. But if they do and it's above the limits, then that might be the worst case scenario. And we're not talking $100,000 for mitigation. It'd be likely something significantly less than that.
All right, July 19th falls between council meeting weeks. Are we going to have a special meeting to look at this when it gets back? I guess my question is, where do we, if it does come back that there's a worst case scenario and there's going to be cost to mitigate it, that probably would warrant concessions or discussions of that between the seller and the purchaser. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like there may be a need to discuss it or not. The $13,190, where's that coming from?
That's the quote from ASTI, and that includes I believe 5 soil borings, the creation of the BEA, and any other associated work with the soil borings and creation and filing of the BEA.
And the money?
That can come from bond proceeds, but of that 13,190, we did receive a BRA grant, which would cover up to, I think it's 6,200 of that amount.
75 would go towards it then?
Correct.
All right. If possible, we should probably find a way to pay for it with cash in hand instead of financing $6,000 for the next 20 years. Just my thoughts. All right, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Sean, you're muted.
Thanks, Zach. Other council member comments?
Scott, did you have your hand up?
I did. I just to respond to something that Council Member Michelle said. I think that that if there's something that comes back that requires, some mitigation, I think what Justin what I expect is that we would try and get a handle on what mitigation might cost. It's possible that Justin and I would go back to the sellers and negotiate or see if we could get an additional concession so that coming back to city council, there would be similar to what happened when we had the inspection activity, where we talked to the seller and tried to extract some seller concessions. So my expectation would be, although the timeline is something Justin could talk about better, but I mean, I do think that if there's something that comes back, it requires city action to address as part of the due care plan in the baseline environmental assessment, that we talk to the seller, see what we could do, and then be coming back to city council with an update. And so, Justin, I'm not sure if that's kind of what you would presume might happen as well, but that's what I wanted to note.
So I actually, Scott, on that, for the Second Amendment document, would it make sense to do something to the effect of push it back to, July 23rd at latest? And then if something is found as a result of the phase 2, then it gets extended an additional 30 days.
What's your logic on the 23rd, Justin?
Well, so if we're thinking that the 19th is too tight of a deadline, give another extra couple of days for just in case.
Well, I mean, are you thinking for a potential meeting? You might as well just go to the 26th is my point.
Sure.
Which is, I think, what Zach was saying, is drawing another meeting.
Yeah.
If you need it.
Well, I mean, then in that case, I mean, we'd want to make it the 27th because if the meeting's in the evening of the 26th.
Yeah, understood. Good point. But I mean, you got another meeting to update us on all this. So if you guys talk to them and they don't agree with it, then you can tell us on the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, I saw you.
Yeah, are we only talking about this vinyl chloride, or are we talking about other potential?
So I think the big things were the vinyl chloride, and there's a question mark about a 50-gallon drum that was on a map in 1912 that no one's quite sure about whether or not it's still there. But if that exists, then that's I think the expectation is that was a cheap, or well, a less expensive cleanup issue.
I guess my question is, no indication of arsenic at all?
That wasn't identified as an REC in the new phase 1, and it wasn't identified as an issue in the 1999 phase 1 or phase 2.
All right.
But we do know that arsenic is present in the soils in and around Dexter to a higher level than.
Yeah, it costs the library tens of thousands of dollars to have it hauled out when they put the library in.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you take a sample, you're subject to finding something. Depends on where they dig or drill. That's what's a little frustrating about this process, but we have to go through it, and we need the BEA. So it makes sense, since this is more than a $5,000 authorization. Justin did the right thing by putting it in front of us, I think, and whatever you can get on the extension of the purchase due diligence period, I think council's supportive of it. If you let them understand our meeting schedules, and you think you need to ask for a little more, just be upfront with them. They've been good to work with, good partners. So. Okay, can somebody remind me who made the motion and who did the second?
Fisher made the motion, Griffin seconded.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Is there any further discussion needed? Okay, Ms. Jones, please call the vote to approve the proposal and an extension of the purchase agreement due diligence period.
Are we extending that, the due diligence period to July 27th, as was discussed at the end?
Yes.
Okay. Griffin,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Council comments this evening, beginning with Mr. Cousins.
None tonight, thank you.
We will go to Jamie.
Yeah, I do have something to say. Okay, regarding my vote on the council vacancy, I have no illusions that I received the unanimous support of sitting council members at the election in November. In fact, none of us, when elected, received 100% of the ballots cast. If we agree to assume that we as a council are a representative cross-section of the residents who voted when we were elected into office, that means that each one of us present did not receive the support of at least 2 other members of council. If you need help with the math, just let me know. The point I'm trying to make is that there's no requirement that elected council members receive 100% of the vote or that appointed council members receive unanimous approval, and that's okay. We can still work together productively for the best interests of the community. I stand by what I said to the Sun-Times News a few weeks ago. I look forward to welcoming a 7th member to council, regardless of whether or not that person receives my individual vote. So welcome to Sanaa.
Thank you, Jamie. Ms. Fisher.
No, thanks.
Zach.
I just wanted to explain my vote for the OHM staff. It's not that I don't want support for staff, it's that I wanted more support than what we could get at $100 an hour. And I would actually throw out there that even after we're fully staffed, we ought to consider having temporary folks, whether it's interns or other temporary staff in there, because it's going to take a while to take up all the deferred work that hasn't been done. You know, staff wasn't running along at 50% before that. There wasn't a lot of slack. And so my heart was wanting to get even more support. And that's all.
Thank you, Zach. Wah?
I don't have anything tonight, thanks.
Okay. This is the last meeting where these 2 specific student representatives will be participating with us, and I'm going to let Alex go. Alex will be joining us for another year and continuing right on, and then I'm going to give the last word to Bella, who's been with us for 2 years. So Alex, I'll let you go, and then Bella, you're going to close us out under council comments.
Okay, thank you. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to spend another year on council. So I look forward to tackling the many issues that continue to face our city. Additionally, I look forward to welcoming Ms. Arab to the council.
Thanks, Alex. Well said. Bella, are you there?
He is unmuted.
Bella, are you there under council comments for your last meeting? Okay, well, maybe she's there, but not there. We will move on to non-arranged participation. I'd like to thank her for her two good years before I close out that. 2 very good years of participation, and look forward to her contributions on the planning commission next year.
Sean, real quick, but Bella, are you there?
She just let me know that she's having some computer difficulties.
Okay, well, I'm going to take non-arranged participation and we'll see if she comes around. Is there anybody under non-arranged that would like to speak this evening?
There's Bella.
Oh, yes, sorry. I disconnected because I connected to my Wi-Fi. Sorry, I was outside, so it kind of got wonky a little. So sorry about that. But
That's okay.
yeah, I don't really have that many comments. It was a great time spending 2 years in city council, and I wish I could have finished my senior year on it, but it's fine. We all move on, and hopefully I'll have a great time in my next committee. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you for your service and for attending this evening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Justin, I'm not seeing anybody under non-arranged. Are you?
I also do not see anyone.
Okay, then we have a closed session planned. Can I have somebody make a motion to go into closed session to discuss pending litigation in accordance with MCL 15.268, section 8, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Support
motion by
Cousins.
Fisher, second by Cousins. Ms. Jones, why don't you call the vote to go in at 8:03?
Got it. Fisher,
Yes.
Michelle's,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Justin, who do we need in here? Anybody we don't? You're gonna put in a separate room?
Correct. All right, we should be good.
Okay, we are back in open session. Having left closed session, is there a council member that would like to make a motion?
Make the motion that we proceed as discussed in the closed session in our tax issue with Dexter Shops. Is that good enough?
Yep, that's great, Paul. Great motion.
Second.
Second by Fisher. Thank you both. Any discussion? Ms. Jones, please call the vote.
Okay, Michelle's,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Cousins,
Yes.
Keo.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Fisher. Second by somebody officially.
It was Athena that
Second.
barked.
Somebody say something.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jamie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you, everyone, for a good meeting. Look forward to talking to you on Wednesday. Have a good week.
Night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Happy 4th of July.